that in about 5 minutes this morning. It took me days to write this. So, for those of you who don't know, my name's Josh. I'm Nick's brother and best man, but I guess you've probably gathered that by now. When asked to be best man, I was obviously over the moon and felt really honoured. But then it dawned on me that I had to organise a stag do and write this speech. I was so nervous. But luckily, Phil and Nathan, where are you, took charge of the stag do, so let's clap there. Nick's always been there for me, but being my big brother, he's usually there to make fun of me when I humiliate myself. Except not just now today. But now's my chance to get him back. As it seems to be tradition for best man to include at least some embarrassing stories at the groom's expense. It's upside down. Yeah, I chuckled them. That wasn't actually meant to be there. Yeah, I've actually missed out on my speech. Oh well. Sorry. Yeah, so the trouble is that Nick never gets embarrassed very easily, and most of the things that normal human beings would be embarrassed about, Nick's actually pretty proud of. Like the fact that he's a massive High School Musical fan. One of the main things I remember from growing up with Nick was that he was a massive train enthusiast. His room was full of pictures of like different engines that he put out of magazines. And by the time he was about 10 years old, he'd like helped establish the first Southport model railway club. Which, considering this was just him and his friends meeting up to talk about their train sets, it was taken pretty seriously. In fact, they actually produced and attempted to sell merchandise. I'm pretty sure I tried to order a mug with a picture of a train on it, but then when they realised I was about 6 years old and had about 13 pence to my name, they cancelled the order. The best one. Once when asked what Nick wanted to be when he grew up, he replied, "I want to be a train." Anyway, it was a pretty big surprise to us when Nick grew up and didn't become a train. He went off to study international development with economics. As we've already heard, Nick got stuck into the Christian Union and in time was invited to take over as president. He talked over his family because although he was honoured to be asked, initially he thought he should turn down the offer as it would get in the way of his studies and general university life. But it's a good thing he did decide to accept because that's where he got to know Rachel, who was vice president, as we know. I didn't realise that was going to be his name. So yeah, when the year ended and both stepped down, he informed us that he was going to take the bull by the horns and ask for out. I was first introduced to Rachel a short time into Nick's term as president, about 2 years ago, when I was visiting him at uni. Bear in mind this was about a year before they actually started dating, and it was already obvious that Nick had a massive crush on her. He excitedly introduced me to her, and then took me to one side to inform me that this was in fact the girl he fancied. Little did I know, I'd be telling this story at their wedding, more than 2 years later. After this encounter, Nick was walking me to the train station, and we just so happened to be walking in the same direction as Rachel, trailing a little bit behind her. When she noticed Nick, he was so worried that she would think he was following her. He made us take the next turn and take a really long route to the station. I presume this sort of thing happened quite a lot for the next 10 months. After they'd been dating a couple of months, I guessed it was getting serious because Nick brought Rachel home to meet the family. That's wrong. It was obvious that she'd fit in well. She was fun, comfortable, and even seemed to understand Dad's humour, which none of us do. I think it's safe to say she was definitely a big improvement on the last person Nick brought home. Only joking, Nathan. Sorry, my mum worried that joke. That was funny to keep on the face. There was a pretty obvious problem from the beginning though. Whenever anyone would say Rachel, they'd get two replies. Because those of you who don't know, Nick has a sister called Rachel, which we do now. Luke's already said it. But yeah, we resorted to calling them both by their second names, so Jones and Crawford, which worked really well until about 3 o'clock this afternoon, when Rachel Crawford became Mrs. Rachel Jones. Hold for applause. And now we're back to square one. So, ladies and gentlemen, it gives me tremendous pleasure to propose a toast to the bride and groom. My brother's found a girl in his dreams that I couldn't be happier for him. So, without further ado, would you please join me in raising your glasses and wishing them a wonderful future together. To the bride and groom.